Paul and James here from Awaken Waterford.
Yeah.
Hi James.
How you doing, Paul?
So today we're going to discuss a video posted on YouTube over the last few days showing a man called Ben Gilroy and how he stopped the sheriff from repossessing a house in County Laois using the Irish Constitution.
Sure.
Mr. Gilroy, he seems to know the difference between legal and lawful.
Yeah.
How come we the people are not aware of this, James?
Because a select few people would have studied the law historically, and that information would have been kept within the confines of the select group of people.
Okay, obviously it's not in our school curriculum.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
What would your understanding between legal and lawful be? The difference between lawful and legal?
Yeah, there's a huge difference, Paul. A good example would be, if you want to hear on the television, a man was convicted of unlawful killing today in the High Court.
Very interesting that you say that, James.
Okay, you didn't hear Mr. John Murphy was convicted. Okay, you heard a man was convicted.
Right.
Okay, so what he's being convicted under is a more serious law, which is the foundation of law, and in Ireland it is known as the common law.
So it's basically, it's an unlawful killing and not an illegal killing.
Exactly.
So there must be a huge difference then.
There is a massive difference between the two, yeah.
Okay.
The common law in this country comes from Magna Carta 1215 of England, under King John, where the nobles at the time decided that he was being unjust in his behaviour towards them, and he forced him to sign the charter called the Magna Carta, which basically gave power back to the people under common law, which is natural law. And we had our own natural law in Ireland for thousands of years, which was called the Brehon law, which is very similar. It's based on justice, the idea of justice and common sense.
Okay. And these laws apply to men and women?
Men and women. Flesh and blood.
Flesh
men
and blood.
and women.
Okay. And then the legal side?
Yeah.
That's a different kettle of fish then, isn't it?
Yeah, but legal comes from legislation. It applies to corporations and businesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically everything that the government enforces is legislation.
Sure.
They're acts and statutes basically. Man-made laws. Man-made laws.
Yeah.
They're basically, will I be right to say, company policy?
That would be true. This one might be a difficult concept for people to understand, Paul, but the Irish government is actually a corporation that trades for profit. Obviously it's not making any profit right now, but it has a fundamental setup of a corporation.
Right.
And if you're curious about this, you can go to a website called Dun & Bradstreet, which is dnb.com, and you can search for the Irish government, and you will find it listed along with many other Irish departments that are in government listed on that website.
Okay, so they are actually corporations trading for profit.
Yes.
So a corporation would have shareholders and directors,
yeah,
earning their wages and looking to maximise the profit.
Yeah.
Constantly.
The true legislation that men and women, they're not referred to as people, they're referred to as persons.
Persons.
So if you ever look at any new legislation, like for example the Non-Fatal Offences Against the Person Act 1997,
yeah.
That refers to a person.
Okay. So there is a difference between a person
yeah.
and a man or a woman?
Yes, there is a big difference, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Would you like to elaborate a little on that?
Well, if you harm a man or a woman, that you can be tried under the common law.
Common law. Okay, that's a common law offence.
Yes, if you don't pay your taxes, that your person is the one that's guilty, not you, because when you get your PPS number, that means that you're an employee of the state.
Okay.
That's how you're seen in law.
So the person is basically, it's a fictional entity, would it be right to say, created by government? Yeah,
it's like, for example, if you had a problem with a Dell computer, and if you went into Dell, the corporation, and you asked to speak to Dell, they'd think you're crazy. Who's Dell? Well, I bought the computer off Dell, so I want to talk to Dell. So that doesn't make any sense.
Dell isn't a living person.
Yeah.
It's a corporation.
It's a corporation.
It's a fictional entity.
Yes, exactly, Paul. That's exactly how it works. So, and the rules are in contract law that a corporation can only have a contract with another corporation. Okay, so if a company, for example, if the state of Ireland wanted to have dealings with the people, to cross over in law, okay, to bind people to their version of law, which is legislation, that you have to make a person a corporation itself, Paul. That's how that works.
Okay. Because a corporation cannot have a contract with a flesh and blood man.
Only a man or a woman can have a lawful binding contract under a man and woman under contract law.
Right, okay.
But a corporation can contract with a corporation. So if you were to buy computer parts off me, we'll go back to the Dell idea again, you know, and you're a supplier from China, and you know you defraud me or whatever, that I can bring you to international courts because you've broken the legislation, because it applies to corporation and corporation. Do you understand where I'm coming from with that?
Yes, I do. It's a bit difficult to grasp at the beginning.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But there can't be a crossover, Paul. See, the government cannot fine a man or a woman because there can't be a crossover, because all the legislation is contracts. So what Ben Gilroys was talking about was that under the Constitution, men and women have an inviolable right to the home.
Right.
Okay, so the sheriff was there acting in business.
Acting on the person then.
On the person.
Would I be correct in saying
Exactly.
that?
The bank has a problem with the person, because when the contract was signed, it was the person, not the man, that signed the contract with the bank. The sheriff was coming along and he was enforcing the legislation.
Okay.
Because there was a complaint made by the corporation that, you know, the bills weren't being paid. So the corporation is bringing another corporation to court.
Right.
You see how that works?
Yeah, yeah. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.